How's the name search going? I'm looking at the doc. Um,
Yes, I was going to ask if you had opinions on like the process, but basically I made the doc. I haven't really been adding to it too much, but I just kind of quickly threw together a couple of ideas, which I think I recently added collaborative reasoning as like kind of like a collaborative reasoning community or something.
yeah.
I feel like it sounds kind of nice. Reasoning tech development, argument tech development, I don't know, or like ideas, but they didn't. I, I don't know how perfect the name has to be, but like to me, they seemed like all right. Um, but yeah, I've got like a section for brainstorming, which I just like threw down a bunch of kind of keywords or like motivation, I guess, for the community, and just to kind of try and shake up some name ideas. Um,
It might also be good. I was just thinking that to say what's not in the group that might be adjacent. Not that that's too important, but it might help people kind of. I don't know. Maybe it's not a big deal. But I was just thinking it's like the thing that it doesn't expand to is probably like um, Obsidian. I mean, there
right,
are
like
tools
productivity
inside
tools.
Obsidian that, and we'd be building Obsidian plugins, but general discussions about Obsidian or um, Notion, right? Those are more like content. They're not called content
Like
management systems.
productivity
That,
tools, I feel. Or like there's a productivity
yeah,
tools like Reddit
right.
subreddit or whatever that talks about
Yeah.
different note-taking tools.
Yeah. So not, it's,
Uh,
yeah, I wouldn't call it note taking or productivity, right? Unless you want to keep it that big. Um, but that's what I was
yeah, I think
thinking
that
about.
that's a good idea.
I mean, I'm heavily focusing on decision, um, but the group can be bigger than that. Um, so I think you're right in saying that that might be too narrow. Um,
Um,
yeah. So I emailed Tim because I don't know if he's getting notifications. Um,
great. Yeah.
I don't think I've heard back from him, but he's the only person that I don't know that we've kind of like heard back from him if he has any concerns, which I don't think he will. Just as long as there's a space for CDL. But
Right.
um, yeah, I mean, I guess I like collaborative reasoning. Um, argument. I'm wondering if the tech ones. I mean, we are focused on tech. I mean, although mine's actually going to be a video course, right? Initially, eventually it'll be a tech.
Uh,
Oh, and I guess like this probably, well, another thing that we probably wouldn't include is like um, voting tech. I mean, we'll have voting tech, but not like um, people who are advocating for ranked choice voting
mm,
as a as a activity, being an activist in that case. This probably wouldn't be a place for that type of community, and they
yeah,
do have
like
their
different.
spaces for that.
I feel like I could see it being related to the scoring aspect, but like purely the voting, yeah, like
But
ranked
yeah,
choice voting does seem
but
not
having
like
it
adjacent, I
without,
guess.
yeah, having it without a argument map underneath.
Hmm.
I don't
Right, right.
think it it kind of fits the. So I guess that kind of means, I don't know if everything we do would have to have an argument map, like a hierarchy or a graph. But does it?
Well, I
I'm
feel
trying to think of
like so I was thinking that it's more like some structured reasoning tool where like
structured reasoning is a good way to put it. Right. Yeah, it
yeah,
doesn't
like
have to
argument
be
is like one structure which we've all kind of used, but I know Ian, I don't think he ever attended a meeting here yet, but I feel like he commented a little bit. He was originally he came across my Ameliorate server and he has some ideas around like uh, how to make a chat interface basically that can help people reason better. So
hmm
maybe behind the scenes, there's some like structure being formed. Maybe there's like an LLM to like create the structure and then like use it to feed the I guess stuff back to the user. But like, the user only has to see either the chat and then maybe like if the LLM kind of responds with claims or something, it can like show, some portion of like the claim tree or something. But that's I guess that would still probably have some form of um like structured thing behind the scenes, but visually at least
Yeah. Right. Yeah, so maybe
equals
we
chat.
shouldn't call that out. And I was also, so two of the things that, as far as like I was saying, not like a voting system, but we do have, and I've forgotten his name, but they were working on a way for up and down votes on Reddit to make things surface better based on,
Oh, Felix or
yeah, right.
yeah, I remember seeing
So
something about
that's kind of closer to a voting system than a thing. So yeah, maybe broader of just saying, either structured reasoning or reasoning. I'm just wondering whether tech, limiting it to tech, I guess that would work. I'm not, I'm just trying to decide whether I'm opposed to that or not.
I mean, I think I'm a fan of including the like, a video course type thing
hmm
or uh I don't know if you looked at there's the Alex guy who has like his process of it's like a deliberation process, I guess, of like,
hmm
identifying these four kinds of concerns and then you identify the
Yeah.
four, I don't know. But,
Yeah, and I
but
can really see mine as a process actually. And the tech, it just you need a tech because the math is just a pain in the ass to do on paper.
yeah, yeah.
But in theory, it's the process, and then the tools help you do it.
Right.
Um,
So like if someone is just kind of focusing on a process, I presumably most processes would want a tool eventually.
yeah,
And
probably these
I mean,
days.
even if not, then like the process for coming up with the process probably has a lot of overlap with like, how should reasoning work and whatever that, there'd be overlapping discussion with people working on tools for some kind of structured reasoning process, I guess, or
Yeah.
tool. So yeah, maybe that tool could be too narrow as well. That's a good point.
But yeah, I mean, I guess if you're gonna, force me to make a decision, I would probably choose collaborative reasoning out of that list. Although it's funny, I think there was one person in the group that was focused on tools to where it's just yourself, your own
Just
reasoning.
so.
But we're not going to be able to we're probably not going to be able to have wording that fits everyone, and we're not going to kick anyone out. It's like, nope, nope, that's
Yeah.
there's no structure in that. Get out. Um, yeah, actually, there was someone who had or was taking a whole bunch of quotes from people and then grouping them. I guess grouping is the structure.
I
Um,
think Howju kind of does something like that,
mhm.
but I mean that's like a collaborative, and
Yeah,
it's
I mean
like some
that's definitely
structure
collaborative, right?
or some
Um,
structure, I
but there
guess.
was someone that was doing that was focusing on just individual stuff. I don't think it'll turn too many people away, and we gotta pick something. So I don't think there's a word combination unless it's just like reasoning process, which is really boring.
Yeah. Yeah, at some point it's like broad. Like I think the slightly more specific versions have make it more clear, like a motivation, I guess, or like a more it's at some point if you're general, I guess it can be too abstract to like really even know what
Yeah.
the
Well, there's
group is about.
definitely a problem in marketing where if it's too broad of a description, then people don't feel like they can belong to it, and it feels so ambiguous they can't determine whether they're in the group or not. If they don't know, then they're out. Um,
Hmm.
I don't think any of our decisions are getting, I mean, any of our names are getting that broad. But yeah, if it was just reasoning, which there is reason.com, and that's been one of my concerns is if they're going to ever do copyright claims on any tool that has the word reason in it. But
Oh my God.
I haven't heard them doing that, and they're more libertarian, so I don't see them suing a lot of people. Um, but
I
anyways,
haven't heard
I've
of
always
that.
wondered about that being a risk.
Uh,
It's
well,
not big. Um, but it's just a thought.
yeah, I feel like at some point if your brand, I would have to actually like see if there are cases, but I would have assumed that if your brand name is like so broad, like that it's a name that just overlaps with so many things that you wouldn't be able to like copyright it
I've
as
known several
well
people to
or
be sued by 3M because their name, their initials have M's, 4 M's or 5 M's, and they're being
oh my
sued by 3M.
God.
So
Wow. Wow.
the only question is reason.com the type of people that would do it. They could do it for anyone that has reason anyone in their name if they wanted to. But I don't know that. I don't think it's not worth worrying about. It's cheaper to change a name later on than it is to find a perfect name.
Oh,
Um,
hmm.
but this is just an aside. Uh,
Just gonna add these notes in. Tools probably too narrow, or could be too narrow if we want overlap. There's overlapping discussion with people making processes. Right. Um, wait, did you just add this note about point taken in the document?
Not me.
Or oh my God, I think that's the end because I just saw him add a comment. But why is it he just doesn't want to
There's an
join anymore?
anonymous raccoon in here.
Yeah, I think that's
Am I showing up as me, or am I showing up as anonymous?
you're anonymous camel, actually. Am
Oh,
I
how
showing
do
up
I?
as me?
Yeah, I see you, and I think that's because you're an owner. Should be
Ah,
a way. I can't remember how to like tell it I want to be. Actually, although I just want to view. I don't mean to. Um,
huh. Well, you have editability, so I thought if there was editability that maybe
did it show your ID? Yeah, yeah. I don't know. Hey, it's Tim. You could get it from the horse's
nice.
mouth. Hey,
Mhm.
Tim.
Hey,
Hey, I got your email, but I haven't had time to look in Discord. Um,
Okay,
so
let's share. So Joel, I think, is heading this up, right? Joel, it was kind of your initiative.
yeah, no.
That's the guy to blame. Um, And let me describe it, and then you can correct me. So the idea was Joel just wanted to kind of expand the community and thought if we expanded the name, keep CDL as one of the projects or communities, sub communities, and then invite more people, we might get a little bit more participation. Is that kind of what you were thinking, Joel?
Yeah, I think one motivating factor is that I've I guess run across some people in my like ameliorate server that uh are working on other tools as well that don't really participate in the CDL. And I guess my some slight impression is that like CDL is kind of presented as like a group that you like are a member of or not. And that if we're more presented as like an open community, which I is like basically what I'm pretty sure the intention right now is at least to be more of like an open community. Uh, so like the name, if we picked a different name, maybe it would be more obvious that that is the intention. Whereas like right now, I guess, well, for one, canonical, I guess is something that we're not all like totally focused on. And then the like Canonical Debate Lab is like a specific group. And on the web page, there's like, a couple members. I'm not even on the page, but uh, I think, yeah, just the idea that making it more obvious that it's like an open community could be useful, I guess, for more
And
participation.
Joel could always go and do a different, you know, server, and then we join over there and stuff like that. But I don't know. So Tim, just since you were the original namer and founder, do you have
Well, I
any?
wasn't the original namer, but
Who came up with that then?
it was a group. It was definitely designed by committee.
Okay.
But canonical was, yeah, I think maybe
And
I said canonical at some point. I don't know. I don't remember
yeah,
who first did that. But so I understand the purpose. I understand there are some people in mind that might join in more freely if it were more open. What's the name that you were thinking?
that's up for debate.
Well,
Okay.
yeah. So I made a doc to try and brainstorm and gather ideas.
Give me some
Uh,
highlights. Just
so
yeah.
so right now for ideas, I think maybe the top idea is like collaborative reasoning as like a collaborative reasoning community, or maybe structured reasoning or argument tech development or just argument tech. Uh, even like knowledge representation and reasoning. Might not be might be some downsides to that one, but those are the main options, I guess. And I don't know if I feel like super happy necessarily with any specific one, but I I made a separate section for like keywords that might help us kind of come up with a good name. And oh yeah, so Bentley is sharing, should help, I think. Um,
Yeah, I'm seeing. Um, so my first thought would be, or my first question is, what has Marc Antoine said about this?
Good question. He hasn't spoken to a specific name, but he did say, let me find.
But he has been on the. He's. I think he's seen it because he's been in the channel. Just today, he's saying he couldn't make the meeting. I don't know if he read it though. I don't know if he's made a
Yeah,
response.
so this specific, but like the idea, I guess, of renaming, he was behind just let's see. He was hoping to shepherd some of the generic community effort, but too busy to do at the moment. His perspective, there are nested goals. So there's like tools for thought is like a super broad and maybe too broad for our group. Then there's like the generic arg mapping thing, and then the like canonical thing, which is like I guess more specific. Uh maybe like the sub goals could be like channels in a community server that's like slightly broader. Um,
So yeah, the reason I asked about him is he's for a long time been talking about, oh, there are a lot of communities out there. You guys should participate in those other communities. And so, it's um, my first question about this idea. Like, I'm happy to have more members, but if we're expanding the umbrella here, are we really moving into an area that's already covered by a different community?
uh, I, I guess my impression or my hope is that we I guess like the rename is less of it's like an expansion of the name, but not an expansion of our like our current like community necessarily. Or
Yeah, which maybe implies maybe there's a branding issue there instead of like um, yeah, I don't know.
instead of expanding like the scope or like our current scope is beyond canonical and is not like a thing that you sign up to be a member or whatever. So I think yeah, I feel like rebranding is kind of like more accurate probably that it's like I like where our community is at in terms of like what we're talking about, our focuses or whatever. So yeah,
Yeah,
I would
I mean, the thoughts I've had about this whole effort over the last couple years since I haven't been coding and I've just been kind of thinking, um, and figuring out how to message to the masses has been about focus on the problem. What is the problem? There's a couple problems which you've kind of listed there, which are um, truth seeking is incredibly inefficient and fraught, right? Because truth seeking is much harder than it should be today with all our technology. That's one problem. Two, the current information structure is completely vulnerable to manipulation. In other words, it's a question of rhetoric or control of media having an outsized impact on how people get at information. These are things we need to fix, right? Um, and the third part being the purpose, the end purpose of why do we want to better organize and access more truthful information or more validated organized information. It's to help on the collaborative decision making, the collective decision making, which is in the end enabling democracy, enabling making better decisions as a group, right? So those are maybe the main points I would want to get at. If we're trying to change our name, especially in order to reach more people, I think to me those are the things I would want to make clear somehow. We do have more or less a solution in mind, which is what brought us together in the first place, which is called the canonical debate, right? This is kind of what brought all of us together initially, mostly as programmers, but also other people who weren't programmers who thought the same sort of thing, which is essentially, when I want to know the truth behind something, why isn't it all in one place for me? Why isn't it all already organized, unmanipulated, unbiased, and there for me to get it? Because it seems like we have the technology to do that, so why did nobody do it? Um, and the white paper was written to both highlight the aspects of the problems, the philosophies, and the principles that we think are important and will help make it work, and then some vague ideas about a design solution, right? That's kind of how the white paper is broken down. And it's 10 years old now, which is crazy. And like way pre-AI, although, in many ways, AI doesn't change a lot of it. AI certainly doesn't replace it. It should
Just
never replace
accelerates it.
it. Hopefully, at best, it's a tool that helps us do it a lot faster,
Yeah.
right?
Or
Um,
it's a tool that also makes the situation worse out there.
well, currently, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Currently, it's another actor. Now an independent millions of independent actors in the information in infrastructure that's already fraught with problems, right? And it's not doing much. It pretends to help fix a problem, which is a worse part. It acts like it's solving the problem for everybody and claiming authority while it does it. So that is an addendum I would like to add to the white paper someday. But anyway, that is essentially how I would see it and how I would see the community. If we were not to direct people and ourselves join some other community that's already there, I would hope that it's focused on those things. A recognition, enunciation of the problem of getting at good information and digesting it. Um, some solutions to help improve that technical solutions generally, um,
Mm.
technological, and then the working group to hopefully actually make it happen, which is happening in individual side projects rather than collectively, basically. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess in that spirit, I was slightly envisioning the maybe like expansion of scope of like I guess a lot of that I think is exactly in my mind for the community, but the like one place to go is I guess to me that's like the canonical part where it's like I mean ideally there's one place to go, but the
When I
canonical
say
part.
place, and this is where I differ from Marc Antoine is he wants it federated. But he agrees in the general idea. Like in other words, it's federated in that it happens in lots of different places, but everybody gets access to everything else, and they have the ability to filter and stuff like that. And
Mm.
my caution there is, well, is that going to be canonical then? Because you're essentially replicating what happens already in communities, where each community isolates itself to its own opinion, right?
Mm.
Um, and it's motivated to reinforce its own tribal nature to a large degree, or protect itself, or um, create its own bubble. That's what I think.
And I
Confirmation bias.
guess part. Oh, and hi. Sorry.
Hi,
Welcome.
welcome,
Uh,
welcome. Yeah.
I I think, I don't know if Joel, you were imagining a place where it would be like, for example, who posted the most recent link in the Discord about the question
Oh, the point taken
point
thing.
taken? Yeah. So, for
Uh,
example, point taken, that is not canon. It has nothing to do with canonical, but it does kind of get at some of the uh, problems that Canonical Debate Lab is interested in, but it has nothing to do with like kind of canonical. It's really
so
about
it's
two resolving, finding where two people disagree. So it has some overlap a little bit, but
I
but
think a lot of the
but
overlap is not just finding where people disagree, but like finding I think it is trying to find like the truth, through that disagreement of like, okay, we're I think in the description it was like we're not two opposing sides. We're just trying to figure out like what the reality is or like what, all the arguments are,
A
basically.
dialectic approach, right?
so
Yeah.
and I wonder if Joel, you're imagining kind of trying to also open up the scope to allow um people, apps, discussion about apps that are uh, not purely canonical, but have some overlap like that. Is that what you're saying? Or
That was what I was suggesting, I guess, with this, in which I guess so maybe a thing. I think Mark Antoine was, or maybe it was Bentley. I don't know. Someone was like saying that it's probably good enough if, or I don't know the exact word, but something like it's probably good enough if the Canonical Debate Lab has like its own channel, and then that's like, within this community, there's that spot where, if the group, you know, gets back to the grind of like focusing on that idea again, then maybe a working group spawns there, and that's like still within the community where this other point taken maybe could fit as well. Uh, but since I guess the purpose of the expanded community is that like there's so many overlapping discussion ideas that just like having this one place where people can like across these tools talk about the same things, um where I guess not too broad where it's to the point of like note taking tools or whatever, but we all have this like structured reasoning thing. um so like, yeah, I guess expanding to that is the idea.
Yeah. And on a side note, if the problem is with the word canonical, I have no problem in changing that. I mean, we've done a lot of past branding, but it's not like we have anything we're worried about destroying here or whatever. The canonical, the word canonical has problems because I have to explain to people. But the explaining of the word canonical kind of helps me explain the idea as I go when I tell people, because
Mhm.
it has kind of multiple meanings that reflect different aspects of the solution that we've been talking about. Um, I'm happy to be part of a community that takes a broader view on those specific things that I was talking about. In fact, like um, this is the year, hopefully, I'm going to start writing a book, like the trade book, where I would have to do this, which is take people through the known problems, um, and that alone is anybody who recognizes this is a problem. It would be great to have a place to draw a funnel to draw people into the discussion, because there's a lot of people. That's almost everybody out there knows social media is
Mm.
broken in some way, and knows that media is broken in some way, and knows that nobody. How can people get away with lying publicly so clearly, or how even not like how is that common discourse is always straw man the other side, always argue against these extremes as if that's the only thing that exists the other way, and it's extreme rhetoric that is totally counterproductive to actually going through a dialectic type approach where we're working together to find the right answers and solutions, right? So
Mhm.
um, almost everybody, if they don't know it, feels it somehow. That that's wrong. That's a giant community. But there, I could see a place where people are talking about that and going, "Oh, this is a group where they've done a lot of thinking about this and they have a lot of interesting conclusions." Um,
But not only
so
that, but to like go to and like continue the discussion on these,
going to
like
continue the
the
discussion. Exactly. Oh,
uh,
yeah. So there's these people working on these debate technologies, because I've thought about a place where, oh, what if we could go and debate people online in real time? Okay, well, there's people are working on that. The thing is, as a member of the internal Canonical Debate Lab group section, um, there's been a lot of thinking about, why I think these things wouldn't work or don't work. So, it would be great if all sorts of people working on these technologies could be talking together, but there's a lot of times I'm just going to disagree with people, which is natural, right?
Mm.
It is unfortunate that we keep getting so isolated. But part of that problem again is there's a lot of groups out there that we're not participating in as well. So I don't know how to. I think unfortunately, I think the answer to that thing is the same as the answer to the canonical debate itself, which is it can only be successful when, like the Wikipedia effect, you're the one that makes it big, and you become the word of mouth place, and everybody just starts going there. Um, the viral effect sort of thing. If one of us happened to be suddenly a major influencer that showed up and started talking about it all the time, our community would explode, right?
Mhm.
It's not
Uh,
necessarily our major skill, but uh, yeah. So maybe I'm not being helpful here. I'm just thinking out loud, but yeah. So I'm happy to have a community where we're talking just about these bigger issues and have Canonical Debate Lab there as a core that not everybody's going to be interested in.
uh,
So but so I guess that's a question back to you guys is how big an umbrella would you want to make it?
well, that's a good question to ask. Uh, my opinion is like, well, maybe it would just take some discussion to figure out, but just like anything that is like about structuring reasoning, basically, or like, or maybe even collaborative reasoning, like you're trying to reason with other people.
So yeah, I mean that's a whole area that came and went essentially, right? Sense making is like so 2018 or whatever 20 I don't know, but that's sense making essentially, which has its own brand and came and went, and people still bring it up now and then. But I would, um, although I agree that's still an important part of the mission. Um, that's a place where you have to be careful treading on that ground. It's kind of like saying now, oh, what is it? Altruistic, uh,
Effective altruism.
Effective
active
altruism.
altruism, right? Makes total sense, but I would never name anything that, or I'd be very careful promoting that idea while avoiding that term these days.
Mm.
But yeah, so sense making.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know the zeitgeist now on sense making, what people feel about that. That's actually,
I'm just
I'd be
Googling it now.
I'd be
I
curious to see
think
where that's gone.
my well, I guess I had heard the term sense making. Feel like it's not as like commonplace as collaborative or reasoning necessarily. That I guess it's like, is there a sense making community?
Many. In fact, there are people who have made lots of money doing sense making and doing sense making communities and doing podcasts and YouTube. Um, it kind of was part of the international intellectual dark web phase, like Sam Harris
Mm.
and like a bunch of people. And that group
Hmm.
also kind of blew up in good and bad ways. Um,
Mm.
but
Um, are we trying to kind of, are you thinking maybe just like anything with that tries to tackle uh, the problems with arguing online? Um, because that's kind of a broad net, and, but a lot of those things are kind of relevant.
it's even narrower than like the
Sense
problem I
making
want to
is.
solve. No, well,
Oh,
no,
oh, that's.
arguing online. When you said
Oh, I
specifically
see.
arguing online,
Yeah, yeah.
because it could just be trying to look up information and figure things out on your own. It could be the do your own research type thing. Like I want
Yeah.
to fix do your own research, and I want to fix to some degree online debate, but only in the sense that I like personally, the canonical debate isn't a live debate tool or one-on-one debate tool. It's a collective information repository type thing. But a lot of people get excited about real-time or online debate, and that would be welcome in the community because it's part of sense making or part of not necessarily a healthy part of it all the time.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things in the white paper is the problem with that approach is sometimes it's about winning and not about
Yeah.
it's about getting the mic drops and the zings and owning.
Yeah.
But
So I
I,
was saying earlier that the limit would probably be like it's not productivity or Notion or that might be kind of like an outer bound. Those that have community, say Marcanton. Um, so yeah, that would be what's kind of excluded, I think.
I was thinking one difference maybe between I'd have to see specifically like what like sense making or intellectual dark web communities you have in mind, but I'm envisioning a significant difference being that like this would be a community like for people like working on separate tools. So
Mhm.
right.
like those I guess when I hear
So
sense making.
I mean, I have a corollary. I have something that might be a flag in the ground for that sort of thing. Marc Antoine, let me get you up to speed a little bit. We're talking about a proposal that was made in the Discord to expand the community. I think you're aware of that, and I'm glad you're here because part of one of my first questions is, what do you think about it? Because I know you're always asking us to join other communities that already exist, and so one worry would be expanding our community and creating yet another competing community. But getting back to planting a flag in the ground around that, the tool makers, right? For
Yes.
uh, for fixing, I mean, it would be tool making for fixing the information ecosystem is to me where I would kind of plant the flag, and it's based on one of the things that inspired this community in the first place, which was what eventually became Democracy Earth, in a very, to me, important TEDx speech made by one of the Democracy Earth founders, which was she was talking about it's time to do Democracy 2.0 because democracy was designed around a time where information traveled very slowly and through unreliable routes. And now we have technology that could really redesign democracy if we thought about it and if we put, careful design and if we did it right. Anyway, so to me,
Sorry.
and in fact, the Canonical Debate Lab, I was a member of the Democracy Earth group, and I became a little subgroup of theirs that was focused on, we shouldn't even. They wanted kind of a form of direct democracy or liquid democracy, and to me, the danger of direct democracy is exactly that it's only as good as its people and the information they have. So I want to first fix, like, I don't even care about changing the democracy system until first we fix the information problem where we make sure that everybody is voting, making their decisions based on good information, right? And so that continues to be kind of the flagpole that I would stick in the ground here about this community is then building those tools.
Mhm.
Okay. I'll try to be succinct because, of course, I have lots of thoughts about this, and you've been talking for an hour and I just arrived. Um, there's a lot of overlapping but somewhat different concerns that I think I'd like a community to both identify and federate. But I think they need both common space and separate space is what I'm saying. Like for me, I was thinking very much, but right now I don't have the time to do it, to have a kind of generic community around collective intelligence toolmaker. There's the information quality disinformation aspect. Like for me, collective intelligence is more about the aggregation. There's the voting aspect. There's all of these are aspects of, for me, there's a common problem and there's huge overlap, but we are looking at different facets. I think I agree totally. It has to be a community of toolmakers. I think for me, knowledge federation is kind of part of what we're all doing, whether it's through votes or moderation or information quality discernment or synthesis work. All of these involve some kind of information federation. And for me, the point of having a community of toolmakers is so we can do federation. I mean, what's the point otherwise? It's just a gab fest, as Jack would put it. The point is, are we interested in federating our information? And what does it take for us with all these slightly different but related focuses to be together? So that would be my stake in the ground. It's there's going to be a multiplicity of tools. Ideally, they should talk together. And there's going to be many sub-communities, and that's fine. And I agree with you that the information quality control is a very, very, very fundamental one of them. It's not the only one. Others will have other interests. I don't think we need to have, and that's a real question. Do we want to try to be the big umbrella that tells all these people they should talk together? Or do we want to be one of the subgroups? Or both? Ideally, if I had time to organize this, I'd advocate for both. But right now, I'm not having time to organize this. But I do want us to, I think it's worth naming that, there's all these angles to this question. We have a subgroup that started around one of these angles, which is the information quality. And I agree, we have to name it and we have to make that one of the core things we're doing because that's a core competency here. And I would say, I think we have to think this together with the other angles so that we can build something bigger. But that's, again, my take. But you wanted my opinion? Here it is. Questions or comments?
Yeah, so two kind of questions. One, I mean, you talk about federated. We're just looking at Discord. I almost never use Discord, but does that support any kind of federation? No, that would be a big umbrella approach, right? It would be both a big and small umbrella in that we'd run the community and the CDL would be one channel, one niche within that, maybe a sub niche of the information quality as you talked about. So that's an approach. But then the problem is I feel like we're competing with these other groups that are already going on, right?
And that's a terrible thing. Like I've said many times, my goodness, us collective intelligence researchers are not that good at federating and working together. And we all have our own agendas, and so do I. I mean, I'm not trying to condemn here, but my goodness, isn't this something we should be better at? And why should we be competing with these other groups? Can we reach out to them and include them? Like one thing I was going to do with Jack and the SenseCraft project is right now, a lot of people I know are doing POS using Ghost. You're aware of Ghost? It's a blogging platform, not important. But it's a blogging platform that happens to have federate to Fediverse, and from there with the Fediverse to Blue Sky, federate to Blue Sky, and so it becomes possible to publish whatever you put on Ghost on many platforms. And what I've been wanting to add to that is a kind of quote unquote planet system, so that we could say, I'm publishing on my ghost on these topics, you're publishing on these topics, but we can have a ghost that federates, like with the planet system, information from these topics, because this is part of a bigger thing, and people could subscribe either to very individual stream sources or to very different stream sources. And for me, that's part of the information federation. Like, let's make a kind of quote unquote a hierarchical channel structure, so that people can say, here's stuff relevant to this, but which happens also to be important to that bigger thing, which falls in that bigger umbrella. And then we could federate RSS feeds from some of those other people, and that would make sense because this is part of the greater federation. So anyway, that's one concrete code project I had.
Yeah,
Make a kind of
that just
planet
covers
system.
blogging, though, right? And I think
Yeah, but
when we're thinking community, we're thinking more like Discord or more like back and forths, which could be done through, a Blue Sky type
Blue
federated.
Sky,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, make it a Blue Sky channel, and have the conversation there. I think one thing we're working on in Discourse Graph, we're thinking, are we going to have to publish some Discourse Graph content on Blue Sky, on that proto in general, but I think including Blue Sky. And I think having the whole question, hypothesis, pro and con, blah, 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 the IBIS-ish structure, as these are things we're sending on that proto, and making that structure explicit on that proto, then we can have structured conversation in that proto. That's something we want to do. It's and the cosmic people are thinking those terms. It all makes sense to have that as one of the conversation channels with structured conversation.
Side note, wait, what is the project you're talking about? Sense,
Uh,
you're talking
I,
something you're
I,
working on, Sense,
Discourse
SenseCraft is
graph.
what I'm working on with Jack,
yeah,
but I'm
Sense Craft.
speaking about discourse graphs right now. That's my
Yeah. No,
day
no,
job.
I'm asking that because where did that name come from?
Oh, the name SenseCraft?
Yeah.
It's because dear Jack always said, his answer to the information problem is global sense making meets World of Warcraft, because he's thinking of
Yeah.
of the importance of guilds, meaning teams, to
Right, and he
things
likes to
together.
gamify the yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I asked about that because I brought up sense making here as we're talking about areas of focus.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and my question was also, um, how ruined is that term these days? I know that sense making itself was big in our world, like 5, 10 years ago or something, but I don't hear that word
I,
anymore, and I wonder if it's been dirtied
good,
by.
good question. The term I would use in French is not ruined, but galvaudé. It was overused, and it lost its sheen from overuse, which is not the same as ruined, but it's lost a lot of its core meaning because it's been used in contexts where it shouldn't have been. So people don't know what it means anymore. Uh,
Sense making became almost kind of a brand for podcasters and the
yeah, but on the other
gurus
hand,
and yeah.
I'm I mean, that's a separate question. How do we want to name things? And I don't want to get into that because we don't have much time. Uh, but I do feel in general we can sometimes reclaim terms, sometimes no. They're beyond hope. I don't know. I don't have a strong opinion on this. I still believe in the value of using terms like sense making, but then we have to define it. What do we mean by sense making? And because the reality is any word gets reappropriated by many people and given a
Has
different
many
meaning by
lives.
someone else.
Yeah,
And that's not
yeah,
avoidable. So at some point we have to
yeah.
say, okay, we're using these terms in this sense, and that's our personal definition of this. And we don't mean this, and we don't mean that. My usual distinctions matter. Uh, I'm and
All right. Well, going back to the original question, Joel, I guess, what do you think about, taking the broader discussions to a more federatable or open environment? For example, starting a community on something like Blue Sky, um, or do you think it should be in our Discord?
Well, I'm not very familiar with Blue Sky, so I mean,
It
if
doesn't
people
have
wanted
to
to
be Blue
use
Sky,
it,
but it would be, yeah, it would
I
be sort
I
of more of
guess
an open.
I, I like Discord as just a communication tool for like having back and forth discussions. I yeah, I've literally never made a tweet or a Blue Sky thing, so I have no confidence for myself. Go ahead, Mark Antoine.
we're running. I think there should be both. We're running into the usual stocks versus flow distinction. Blue Sky, sorry, Discord is great for conversation, and conversation should happen on a conversation platform. Could be Discord, could be something else. I don't have a big. I'm a big Element fan myself because Element is open source as opposed to Discord, but it
Mhm.
doesn't matter. As opposed to creating something lasting like a document. And I was proposing uh, microblogging a la Blue Sky or blogging with Ghost as a kind of intermediate. Like sometimes we want to announce things, take position, make statements, make elements of a claim, of a manifesto, whatever, and make that public and say, this is a flag we're planting, as you were saying earlier, Tim. And I think we should make it very much a purpose of any conversation we have on whichever conversation platform where we'll hammer out the declarations. But the purpose should be about saying, we as a community believe this, or maybe even we as a community are really conflicted about this. That's a valid statement too. I don't think we always have to have a decision, but we believe this is an important question that needs to be resolved collectively. That's a valid statement too. But making public statements matters. And then whether they're microblogged or blogged or made into full-fledged documents, but they have to be published. And I was proposing Blue Sky more as the uh, here's the public. Anyway, there's nothing private on Blue Sky, right? On AdProto in general. So this is about what we're sending out to the world. It's the broadcast channel. It's not the same as the conversation channel. Because conversation can be private. We're still hammering things out. We're still thinking about things. It's not the same need. Over.
So I think definitely having another form of like longer living content or produced output or something is definitely like something that seems important to have. I guess in I, I think I was thinking of a community that like explicitly doesn't have membership. So like I guess membership seems kind of like a prerequisite to making a public statement because like you're saying we believe something. And I think, that's another thing we could consider or, I could consider for this as well. But yeah, I guess I was envisioning explicitly no membership so that it's like clearly everybody can come in or, not whatever. It's like this is a discussion zone working together, like overlapping ideas, and um,
We can have
I,
both again. I don't think we have to choose between them. I think we should have both. I think we should have a very open gab session and work committees with explicit membership that says this is the output of the work committee. It's not the same thing
hmm.
again.
Yeah, that's a
So,
good
I
point. We could
mean,
just have like a channel or something for each subgroup or something like that.
yeah, I mean, if the question is really, let's open up the Discord to get more people in, and with that we require at least two things. One is, a general place where people can discuss, or maybe, different areas where people can discuss more freely, right? A little more focused, but um, we can do that. I'm not against that at all. And the second part is, then what are we telling people this place is, right? Um, and in that sense, maybe we still call it the Canonical Debate Lab, but you need to explain what we're doing here. Hey, it's a place to talk about building tools for fixing the information ecosystem and collaborative decision making. Maybe that's succinct enough, but general enough. Anybody can come, right? And then we can have those different areas, just like Marc-Antoine was saying, of you know information quality, voting systems. We had that kind of going on before, right? Ranking, scoring algorithms, um, different focuses, voting. Um, I'm fine with that. In that sense, if we're doing it that way, I wouldn't change the name because people may not get it with the name, but I don't think people are going to find us randomly anyway, unless we want to change the branding so much. We're doing kind of SEO on Discord groups. We're looking for a hit on people who are looking for the
Hmm.
place to go for this thing. God, I really, I don't know, argumentation tools. But there's so many different communities that there's so many overlaps, as Marc Antoine said again, that I don't think we'll hit all those points with one name. There's no way we're gonna be able to maximize that and get it right. Because the moment you do that, you alienate someone else, right? Are we the argumentation tech? Well, we're gonna get a lot of people then from arg tech and from academics,
Mm.
Which is fine.
but that's it. But that we're not gonna get people who
No,
are
no.
talking about yeah.
Hmm. And this is why I think it's interesting to say, by the way, what we're doing encompasses ArgTech, voting systems,
Right, right. That's where we do the CEO, not in the name,
augment.
but in
My,
the
my, my, my name would have been augmented collective intelligence, but whatever. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. There, I'm with you, Tim. But we have to be explicit that it includes this, that. And that's the most important part. We have working committees on, and and at some point, maybe not now, but at some point, ideally, when we have the capacity, we should reach out to groups doing this, that, and that, and say, listen, we're trying to make this into a federated conversation between these different overlapping interest groups for the purpose of
I
information federation. But saying we have to have this conversation together because these different interest groups are specialized on a common project.
Um,
so
when I look up argument technology, it lists all these things: argument blogging, argument mapping, argument mining, argument search, automated argument essay scoring. And I feel like definitely argument mapping is something that I think everybody in this group does to some extent. Or like not, maybe not
that
exactly.
category is a fundamental component, right? Argument mapping is a fundamental component of every solution we've tried to build, right?
Yeah.
but I wouldn't also want to focus on that because I think there are academics who study this their whole life, and to some degree we're amateurs to them, and our focus is different, and their use of that term is much stronger than our use of that term, right?
Mhm.
And I think so. I think no name change is a good idea because we've already been out there so long, and our name is weird, but it's just going to ask, it's going to beg the question, and we can explain. We're happy to explain. Um, but for Joel, for you to get a quick start in what you really want, is just make some more channels, make our link open and free to anybody to come in. Um, like most of the channels require no membership, and you can just start inviting people to talk. Hey, yeah, I'm starting this channel on this thing. Why don't we come and talk there? I think that's a easy baby step that anything bigger than that is not going to work anyway. So start there and see if you can get people to come in, right?
Um, I, I think I agree totally with everything you said. One thing I would do is have, a date for each channel. Like this channel meets on this date, each channel meets on this date, whatever. And then have a plenary channel where and make it a kind of mission of each channel to come up with things they want to bring to the plenary to discuss with the other channel people in the other channels so that there's precisely this interceding between perspectives and make that an explicit goal.
I think so. Uh, I think I slightly had different intention than the like including other communities part because I guess I was thinking that we like we're redefining the same community that we have. Like right now, we are talking about like what things like I guess the things like um like voting systems or something that don't relate to argument tech. They're like voting systems for like democracy or whatever. That's like adjacent that like they should have their own group. I guess like that to me seems like maybe there could be a broader community as well that like everybody that's like interested in like democracy technologies or whatever can be a broader thing. Additionally, but I guess like I was thinking like uh our existing community just it, it, we're not like expanding the scope of our existing community. We're just
Yeah,
renaming to match what currently is. It just seems like an
so I
easier.
don't think necessarily voting systems is outside the scope, the eventual long-term scope of the goal of the Canonical Debate Lab, in the sense that, okay, in the end, the tool is meant to be used for collective decision making, and in that you need voting tools because you need a way to make decisions. That's what that is. It's not necessarily designing voting machines for American ballots or something. It's about how do you design a way for people to register their decisions in a group. But again, that can evolve naturally. We don't have to go and make them all out now. When somebody wants to talk about that, we'll make the channel for that. Like I would totally go um, agile, in the terms of only put out there what you need right now and things that make sense right now for what you want to talk about in our group, in our community.
I guess it greatly impacts like what we uh like. Do we go and say that we're now overlapping with these other communities and
No, don't worry
invite
about it. I
them?
would no, I would not worry about it. I would just say, hey, because you want to get people to come in. Like I don't know what the next steps you're imagining are. If we make a decision to redefine or rebrand or whatever our community, what would be the next step you would take?
Uh, Step one, I guess, is like rename the Discord server, make it like a community Discord server, so it's like a public server rather than a private server, and then channels, I guess, like that'd be another kind of discussion for whoever's interested, I guess, but like just get a couple of channels for different topics that we've kind of talked about already in meetings. So like maybe there'd be a scoring channel, maybe there would be like a curation channel or canonical channel, separate from potentially a Canonical Debate Lab channel, but just
Technicality.
Yeah.
canonicality.
Is there? I mean, is there anything stopping us from making it public now and just like making maybe
Doing
the CDL channel a private channel? Does anybody have anything against doing that?
I don't
I,
have.
let me take a bit of. I think that I'm all for opening, totally. And work groups should be limited in size because you run into Dunbar number and other numbers, like an effective team is less than 10. So when you have, but I think the work group may be smaller than the interest group. So we may need to define this notion that there's, the broad, wide open conversation. There's the work group, which are probably also open, or the interest group, which are probably open, and the work groups, which are private and focused, because they're not the same purpose. Work group has output. Interest group is broader, like limited, but still focused. You see what I'm saying? There's so many cases.
Yeah,
Um,
and I was envisioning like maybe the I guess like at the beginning I wouldn't expect there to be groups necessarily working like I guess like that the channels using topics that we talk about could then like inspire groups to form around those over time. Like right now there's nothing stopping us from having subgroups already. It's just that we don't have that
You don't
formed,
meet
I
that
guess.
often.
We don't meet that often. There's not as maybe not enough discussion for subgroups or um but yeah.
um, so the name change. What's the
Mm.
main reason for the name change?
So I think the current name is already like a group. Like the Canonical Debate Lab, it has a website that has members on the page. Like there's the white paper, which was like written by the group. I think that's kind of conflicting uh, with the community concept of the open community. So yeah, I guess it seems to me like it would be worth changing to anything else, just so that it's explicitly not that group, or like that group's a
So
subset. It's not the
what if
thing.
we come up with a different approach then, which is start a new Discord channel that's an open community and come up with a name for that, and we can participate there and keep the Canonical Debate Lab community as it is. Um,
Seems reasonable.
A new server, you mean? Or a new?
yeah, a new, isn't it? Aren't they servers in Discord? They're called servers.
Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
servers. So servers with channels. Yeah. So we could make a new server and have it be like a
Seems to me
separate
that
thing.
might be an easier, better way to go. We don't have to mess with what we've already done so far and have to restructure anything. We can just kind of start with a fresh slate. That's kind of a different concept, and we can have our own sub channel in there that we also participate in. That essentially fields. It would be what Marc Antoine was calling the intermediate. I think that's what you called it. Right. It started with
The
an I. The
interest
the medium
groups.
group, the interest groups, right? We go as far as the interest group in the other channel, and then the working group would be the official CDL server. Um, And
It seems reasonable to me.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to say it's important that the working groups can report to the interest groups, but it doesn't have to be on the same server for that
we
to
can, I
happen.
mean, yeah, we can just make it public. We publish it in the other server.
Yeah, yeah,
And that's fine, I think.
that's doable.
All right, I guess I don't see any issue with that necessarily. I'm just wondering if there's a like if the Canonical Debate Lab group doesn't like if it doesn't need more than one channel, then like is there much value to having it a separate server? I guess.
Yeah, the worry is that we make a lot of configuration changes and we restructure everything. We go through all this, and it doesn't work out for whatever reason. The community goes bad. It's not being maintained. Someone else wants to take over, that sort of thing. It seems to me like there's not much to gain by restructuring what we already have for that purpose, especially if we have to do a name change. I don't know what good having our history there is going to do when we're really trying to spawn new conversations with new people. So it seems to me cleaner, safer, a good way to try out the idea without committing too much, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's fair. That's
Reasonable.
I think that would be an easy thing to do. I suppose.
Yeah.
I think it still makes sense to go through with the like naming.
No,
Like,
we would have to pick a new name for the new server for sure. And I think that's interesting. I would either go with where I was saying let's plant the flag in, building the tools for. I was saying information, building a better information ecosystem, and that stops at information. And I don't know about if you want to go into collective decision making too, which I'm happy to also talk about. For some reason, I'm not a big fan of the term. What's the one you prefer, Marc-Antoine? You had some term about collective
like
intelligence,
federated,
Augmented.
collective.
I feel like that name will turn off a lot of people. I feel that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Of course it will. Again, this is why the name doesn't matter. This is about saying we are doing.
Well, it matters at this stage right now. This is what we're deciding is a name, and now, and here it matters because it's about somehow.
No, but what I'm saying is we need to make it clear that we will federate many things. Call it the Collective Intelligence Federation, maybe. Maybe that's better than augmented. And then within that, there could be an augmented collective intelligence subgroup, and then it will attract who it will attract and repel who it will repel. It shouldn't matter. But the idea that we want to be our collective intelligence, no, sorry, collective intelligence tool builder federation.
It's the collective intelligence that turns me off more than anything, because
cool.
That's the one I think scares people, especially when I'm sure the first thing they do is confuse it with artificial intelligence.
Yeah, but people often ask me, how is that different from AI?
Yeah.
It's like it's the anti-AI.
It's because it's us, exactly. But so that's what we need is a softer name for that. Because I agree, it's that. I just think people will find it scary.
But frankly, I think debate will also scare some people off.
I don't think debate is the right word either for that. Yeah.
The global conversation.
We already have that. That's social media. It's not working out.
Yeah, I know. Um,
Do you guys have ideas for how to like I guess better facilitate the process of this naming? I made like a Google Doc, but it's kind of I don't know.
I will
Just
have to leave, folks.
okay.
Apologies about that.
Yeah, we're it's thanks for joining.
Sorry.
The doc is one piece. Um, I think
So
having brainstorming sessions like this is another piece, and then publishing them in the Discord. I don't think there's a more efficient way to do it. If you want, the way branding teams do it is they go through a whole workshop to come up with something, but we're not paid big money to sit in a room together for hours and get a work product.
mhm.
Um, but yeah, so I like right now I'm happy to brainstorm a little more. Um, my time is pretty scarce, so I don't know if I'll go into the document, but um, maybe I'll
Mm.
surprise myself. Sometimes I just get an inspiration and I need a place to jot it down. Yeah.
Okay. Um, so I guess yeah, for you, you're not a huge fan of the augmented collective intelligence. You like the better
I don't like collective
information.
intelligence. I
Uh,
know it'll confuse and scare people.
do you have opinions on the like collaborative reasoning naming?
Well, what's interesting is I keep thinking about the problem set of the end user, but the group is for people building tools, right?
Oh,
So
right.
my intuition there is a little less refined, and I think my experience with all of us is we kind of each come with our own set of keywords and our own feelings
Yeah.
about the different keywords. So that makes it a lot harder.
I mean, we could just have like I could just send out a survey that's like put the keywords you're thinking about, and then we just like average them, or like I don't know, whatever said the most. That could also work, I guess.
Or
Um,
I'm online argumentation technology or something like that, you know. I don't know.
and argumentation, yeah.
I don't know.
I
It's
think uh one concern, I guess, is argument implementation detail for structured reasoning? Like, I guess like the pro con thing maybe is too specific. I'm not sure. Um,
Yeah, I think I would want it to be more general, which is often why I go back to the original problem. And to me, there's essentially two sides to it, and I can't bridge them into one thing. It's fixing information ecosystem and
uh,
collective decision making.
it's yeah.
I mean, it could be collective truth seeking, and even though truth is an anti canonical debate concept, but it's what gets people, right? Collective truth seeking and decision making.
hmm let's see. Ian posted in the Discord just what if we have a must consult list for naming. Um, but I don't know. That's maybe he's talking with Dale. Yeah, let's see. Does seem like I don't know if we could maybe we could like schedule a specific meeting for discussing naming to do, I don't know, like next week or 2 weeks or something. I don't know if we'd be able to do that easily, scheduling, but
Or yeah, I don't know if it has like a meeting might be easier just like if you're just deciding on naming. I don't know if a meeting is
You know
necessary.
what? I think I boiled it down. I think sense making really is the best. People did a lot of work to come up with sense making. It really is sense making and consensus tools is how I would most boil it down.
mm,
Mm.
Because sense making is more about yourself and figuring things out, and consensus is about getting everybody on the same page. Um,
collaborative sense making. I
well,
guess
I mean,
consensus.
I did say, yeah, collaborative, yeah,
I think
but
well, one
it doesn't
downside
even
of
have to be collaborative. See, that's the thing about the sense making part. It doesn't have to be collaborative. It ends up the only way you can scale that is if it's collaborative. But somebody might come up with a solution that's like, oh, here's the tool that really works. It navigates all the problems of the information, whatever. And okay, come join our group. Let's talk about that. Um, it's like so it's sense making tools and consensus making tools. Sense and consensus tools.
Yeah. It's uh it, yeah, it's kind of well, I think it's that sense is in consensus and it does make it a little catchier when it's together.
Yeah, that's gonna be my pitch. Where's the list? I'm gonna throw it in there. My contribution, my vote is on sense and consensus tools.
Yeah.
sense making or sense
I would even cut
just
that out. I would say sense and
Yeah.
sense and
consensus
consensus tools.
tools. Sense
Yeah.
because yeah,
It kind of rolls off the tongue a little better with when it's sense and consensus.
But
because
does it
that's
lose
the.
the meaning of sense?
I don't
Like,
think so.
what
Because
does
isn't that
sense
what
mean?
what did they do with I missed Marc Antoine's tool names. The sense. I'm getting
Augmented
him.
collective intelligence
No, the
or
tool they're working on, the Sense
oh,
Builder,
sensecraft?
SenseCraft,
Sensecraft?
SenseCraft, right? It's
Crafting
making from the
sense.
crafting sense, yeah,
Yeah.
SenseCraft. So there's that. But anyway, it'd be sense and consensus tools.
Yeah.
No,
I mean,
Yeah.
everything, it's just because it has a name doesn't, we already have to explain Canonical Debate Lab. So, I think it's if I
Well,
think people could guess at Sense and Consensus a little easier than Canonical Debate Lab.
yeah,
uh,
and it's vague enough that it encompasses anyone who thinks they fit, right? Which is a lot of different tools that I would say do fit. And it's not scary. Those are not scary words.
right, right. I, I, do think, well, to me, the sense without the verb is like, I guess the word consensus to me does not bring sense enough to the sense making part. But like consensus is
That's
like,
fair.
we're all trying
Yeah.
to agree. And then sense is like, well, seeing, feeling, hearing,
Oh.
uh,
No, I understand. Yeah. I agree that's a problem with it.
But
I so
but I
far
think if
I'm
you
not
put it
happy with
with
sense making. I prefer sense and having it be a little wrong than do sense making because like
because
it
it
doesn't roll
flows
off the
better.
tongue. Yeah, it flows
Yeah,
better.
yeah, that's true. That's
but
true.
So,
I think when you put it with consensus, sense and
And
consensus, people
consensus.
aren't thinking, oh, like smell, you know.
smell. Do you agree that smells bad? Take this out of the fridge. Is that spoiled?
But also, I mean, I
I'm
don't
getting our
care.
logo. Wait, I'm getting an inspiration for our
I don't really care. I think also it just
logo.
doesn't matter too much, if if to some extent.
Yeah.
I think it it should matter a little bit at least that like if people see the name that they can get like a rough like, oh, should I click on that name or should I not click on the name? Or like I guess if
I
they only
don't
find
think.
out
Yeah, go ahead.
if they only find out through like blog posts or something, that's fine. It's like, oh, this was, made from this community. Uh, but if people are like mentioning the name, maybe in another Discord server, like, oh, hey, join that group, then like maybe the person they're talking to asks, so what is that, whatever, but then someone else stumbles upon it is like, that doesn't matter to me. I, it's just like little things. I mean, it probably doesn't matter that much. I think just
Hmm.
if we're picking a name and optimizing, like then eventually, maybe some people stumble upon it versus don't stumble upon it. But I'm not saying necessarily that sense and consensus is like worse than, whatever else we've been talking about necessarily. Just that generally it matters a little bit. It does matter a little bit. Uh,
All right.
Yeah.
Well,
Reasoning and
if you want,
consensus tools, yeah, whatever.
yeah. Um, all right. Schedule another meeting for next week or in 2 weeks. I'm happy
okay.
to join in
I
if
think,
I'm
yeah,
not in the office. Yeah.
I will do that. Do you have a method of, I guess like, so I would just ask the like Discord, uh, is that, should we like send you an email as well, or do you have an optimal
I know Bentley's kind
contact
of been
strategy?
doing it. I mean, if you
Uh,
set up a meeting and send me an invite, I'll get it.
okay.
That
All
does
right.
it. Yeah.
Cool.
Um, I don't know how you want to schedule the time. We could do the same time in a week or two. That's probably most likely to be successful. I'll have to
Hmm.
try not to be in the office on that day, but
Yeah, I think by default we could just,
otherwise, like Bentley has his scheduling tool. I use it too now, but I forgot it.
oh, I think, um, frame a frame a frame a date, maybe. That
No,
may
it's
have
a
been
different
from this
one,
last
but it
time.
doesn't
Oh,
matter.
that's a different.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
Well, anyway, I guess we can figure that out. And
The link to
yeah,
the document is in Discord, right?
yes,
Okay.
it's there. Cool. All right. Well, this has been great discussion. Yes, thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah, it's been good.
Uh,
Yeah, I'm looking, if this works out, I'm really looking forward to it. Although I'm looking forward to it in theory. I'm not even in our Discord. Um,
yeah.
I find I don't have time for this stuff anymore. But
Mm,
I will try. To breathe some new life into the community is a good thing, especially if I'm going to
yeah.
be like,
If you're gonna write a book, it's
I
a
just had
good
Yeah.
place.
I just had a crazy, uh, a bad idea.
A bad
Uh,
idea.
no, it is a bad idea because it's a self-serving idea, which is,
Ah.
if I am going to write a new book, like to get it published, they want to see that you have an audience to sell the book to,
Yeah.
which means
Oh.
I should start a community that's named after whatever I decide to name my book, you know, which means, maybe I start competing with you. I wouldn't do that, but
Oh man.
but now like it added a new dimension to this picking a name, which is good and really bad. I need to unbias myself about the name because I don't, it would be bad if it were named after what I want to name my book.
Right, right.
But I wouldn't call
But
my book Sense and Consensus Tools. So there's that. You can have that one for free.
I and it's good, yeah. I mean, it's good in
Yeah.
general to have be connected with a lot of people just so
No,
that
absolutely.
uh
Yeah.
and you know, if something, you know, if there's a if there's a lot of apps out there that are ready to use, um then I think in terms of media coverage, it's a lot better when if you know you can have an article about multiple apps than just one or that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Mm.
And to be honest, this is our biggest failing is community building and self-promotion. Because if we did that well, if we nailed that, we would be able to have a million opportunities to work doing this thing that we're interested in. You know, not everybody wants to do it full time, but for me, you know, to some degree, it's my call. Like I get more excited about this than at the work I do day to day. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, make it grow.
Make it grow. Yes, that would be awesome.
All right,
Cool.
I appreciate this.
All right. Cool. Well then,
Schedule a
hopefully,
meeting. Send me an invite. I'll throw in. I'll think some more and throw in some ideas in the doc.
sweet. All right.
All right,
We'll
good to see
catch
you
you
Happy New
guys
guys
Year.
next
again.
time then.
All right.
Happy New Year. Yeah.
Yeah.
Happy New Year. Yeah.